Hello and welcome to the Big Boss Show. It's a new show where we come to you every week with a real person that may have not always been a big boss, but shares his or her perspective that we can learn from. I'm your host, Davron Karimov. Today I'm joined by Amazon best-selling author, business coach, speaker. She came to the United States with only $300 at 13 years old. True success story, Ella Rivkin. Ella, thank you for coming on the show. And I guess thank you for inviting me to your office. It's really nice. I have so many questions for you.
First of all, thank you. Actually, the feeling is mutual. I'm actually excited to talk to you and excited for this interview as well.
Is it true that you actually came here with at 13 years old with $300? Is that true?
Yeah, well, we actually, when I left Russia, I was 14. When I came here at 14 years old.
Okay.
And yes, we only came, me, my mom, and my brother. I was only $300 because back then we actually left Russia as refugee. And the only thing that we were allowed to take with us is one suitcase and $100 per each person.
Wow.
So that's actually what we had. But before we came here, we lived in Austria for 1 month, and then we lived for 5 months in Italy. And then we actually came here. So I grew up overnight. My life changed completely from the moment that we left Russia, and overnight, I was 14. The moment we left, I just grew up immediately. I knew from that moment right away that I have to help my mom.
Right.
Me, my brother, and her, so she has so much on her shoulder, change of the countries, lifestyle, everything. And like, again, we left as refugees. So like we had no money, nothing to know, not going anywhere.
Okay, yeah, because I did a little bit of research on you, but I mean, when did you first know that you started liking accounting? Or
well, you see, the thing is that from as long as I remember, actually, even the moments I don't remember, my mom tells me that I was always into numbers. She tells me when I was like little young girl, I would always see in the notebooks. There was notebooks for the maths. So I would like put the numbers in there and I would write them nice and neatly. I would always calculate. And I even remember when I was a child with my brother, what we used to play is we used to play a store. So I will make money out of the paper. So sort of sell to him something and buy. So like that, as long as I was like always with money, I was always calculating. And then the moment we came here, my mom started working. And I was taking, from that moment on, from 14 years old, I was taking care of all the household finances. So whatever she will make, I would take the money, I will budget. My budget was $30 a week. So I was supposed to spend $30 for food and all the groceries, whatever that we had to have for the house. So that was since I was 14. So I was already like taking care of the finances. And besides buying all the stuff, I even managed to save. And I remember like once a week or once every other week, I would, whatever's left, I will go and buy some candies or some sweets. So we'll have like a sort of a party for ourselves because we were very tight with the money.
I got it. I got you. So I know your office here's in New York. And once again, I'm gonna mention again because I can't even imagine. Like it's so nice, and like I can't even imagine what the square footage might be. But where did you actually grow up? Like were you a New Yorker when you came
I grew up here in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I grew up in Flatbush and Beverly. That's where I grew up, and then later on we moved closer to Borough Park. It was on Tehama Street. Yeah, that's where I grew up, and then when I left Russia, I didn't finish 8th grade over there since we lived in Italy and Austria. So when we came here in September, I got enrolled into the 10th grade. So basically, I skipped even the 9th grade. And then since when I went to school here in 10th grade, since my math was always the strongest subject, and with the Russian education system, it was much stronger. So all the classes that I was taking here in 10, 11, 12th grade, like algebra, geometry, all this, I knew them all. So I was literally just exempt from them. And then you asked me about the accounting part. So what happened is that was actually the biggest push for me. besides me being strong in math, is that when I went to this school in 10th grade, since I didn't go to the 9th grade, but they were already taking bookkeeping classes. And in bookkeeping and accounting, like if you don't know the basics, you can't just like dive in. You have to know the basics. So what I had to do is, since I was not there in the 9th grade, so I went to library. Back then there was no Google, there was no internet. So I went to library, I got the books, and I asked one of the girls from the class to tutor me. And literally like in 2 weeks, I learned the whole the 9th grade curriculum. And I liked it so much that I learned the whole thing. So my teacher liked me so much, so she just exempted me even from coming to classes. And then she's the one who suggested me to go to study bookkeeping.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I started. I went based on her recommendation. I went to Brooklyn College, so she gave me all the teachers. She wrote for me the recommendations letter. So that was from her recommendations.
Wow. Do you remember that teacher's name?
I don't remember her name. No, actually, I don't. But I really loved it. I really loved the subject. So I knew right there from that moment that I want to do accounting. And another interesting fact is that when I graduated, it was in 97. So it was literally before year 2K. So everybody was switching into the computer programming because the jobs were paying lucrative money. So back then in accounting, the start job would be like 28K. But in computers, you can start with like 50, 60,000. And in fact, I did actually went to study computer as well. But I hated it. It was not me. So I decided that I didn't care about the money. I decided I would rather do what I love, what I'm passionate about. It's not about money. I always knew that if I'll do what I like, what I love, I will make money. And that's how I started.
Right. Great. Well, when did you start ERPS?
ERPS, actually, I started 10 years. It's actually going to be 11 years in November. In this January, we celebrated 10 years. I started right here, not close to, it was close to here, Bay Parkway and 65th Street.
I heard, we have your book here. I heard you were an author. What's the story? How did you get Brian Tracy on your book?
Well, it's actually interesting story too. So 4 years ago, in 2015, I had a life-changing event. I went through transformation in my personal, in myself, in my business. And when this happened, I remember one evening I was talking to my husband, and I was telling him that I wanted to share my story, and I want to write a book. And then he's like, who are you to write the book, and who is going to read this? But I said, you know what, I want to share this book. And then I'm very strong believer into law of attraction and manifesting things. That it helped me throughout my life. I mean, until I actually learned this whole concept back then, I didn't know like all these fancy words. But sometimes I'm pretty sure probably like it happened to you as well. It's like sometimes when you want see things you want to do, and then you just start noticing, and like things start come to you. And that's actually what happened. I just, I sent it out there to the universe. I want to write the book. And then I remember one day I was on the Facebook. I was just going through the ads, and then this popped out. So I signed up. They called in, they interviewed me, and I got a deal.
Wow. So did you ever actually meet or talk to Brian?
I did actually meet, and I did had an interview with him as well. It's on my YouTube channel. I had an interview. He invited me just like you did, but I went to him, and he interviewed me.
Wow. Yeah. So where can they find that interview?
The interview, they can find it on my website, which is Rivkin.com, or they can find out on my YouTube channel, Rivkin.com.
That's impressive. So what was he like? Like I can only imagine, but.
He's incredible. I one day I want to be him. He wrote over 70 books, and just speaking to him, the energy level and the knowledge, the skills. It's all unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It's all unbelievable.
Yeah. What can you do for people? I mean, what kind of products and services? I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but. I know you have like accounting and you could do bookkeeping, but I guess what can you do for people if they want to work with you?
Okay. Yes, as you mentioned, what we do is, yes, we do the accounting, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll services. But most of what I'm trying to do, and as I mentioned to you, like 4 years ago, I went through this life transformation. And besides just me personally, whatever it did for me personally to transform my life, I actually took my business I scaled my business and took it to the next level. So what I noticed is I've been working with a lot of businesses, a lot of clients, and what I noticed is that it's not working hard to be successful, but it's actually working smart. And that's what I did for myself throughout these 4 years. I completely turned my business around. I changed my perspective, business perspective, how I'm actually doing everything. And now that I did this for myself, I want to help my clients to do the same, because it works like magic. Because the old-fashioned way, the way I used to work and the way I see that my clients is working 24 hours in the business instead of actually working on the business. And this is the biggest problem that I see with all the business owners. We're trying to do everything ourselves. We're trying to control everything. We're trying to save money. Many business owners do not know what's going on in the business financially. And this is the biggest aspect that I see, because we're all going out there for getting more and more sales, more clients, more products. But sometimes more is not what we actually need, because sometimes if you, let's say you have a client, and you can actually do much more for that client in terms of giving him services versus going out there and getting more clients. That makes sense? So like what I started doing, like before they would come to me just for, let's say, like for the tax return. But now besides the tax return, I'm actually, here we do the insurances, also we do the financial coaching, also we do the planning, we do tax planning, financial planning. So it's actually to knowing more about that client and what else we can do more for that client. Yeah. So, and that actually goes with any kind of business.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm curious. What was that? What was that transformation that happened 4 years ago?
The transformation.
I think a lot of us could.
Well, the transformation was, and I did write about that in this book. What happened is, just like everybody else, I was constantly in the business. I became very popular. I became very good at what I was doing. A lot of clients started coming to me, but then I was working more and more hours in order to give the value, to give the quality to that value that I was getting. And then in order to get this quality, I was literally working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week with no days off. And then my health started affected, my relationship with my spouse, with my kids. And then with years, it's just started to, like a snowball effect, just to grow and grow. And then one day I just couldn't handle it. But that didn't stop me. I was still working until when I was on vacation. It was in September 2015. I was biking with my husband, and I crashed. So after that, when I woke up after the 6-hour surgery in the hospital bed, that's when my light bulb went on. And I was like, okay. Unfortunately, it's like during these hard moments, we start actually reevaluating everything. Because especially as business owners, we constantly run. And it's everybody. We all run in this hamster wheel, trying to acquire more, pay for more. And we don't have time to actually stop and to realize, what are we running after?
Right.
And that's what happened with me when that night I actually woke up and I was started thinking, okay, but what if this is the last day of my life? Is that how I want to end?
Right.
Yeah. Or, it's and that's when you actually start thinking.
So what happened on that bike? Did you go in a coma? Were you in a coma?
No, I didn't go in a coma. So what happened is that I broke my wrist, my arm, and I had the radiant head replacement. So I have like a titanium arm here. But then again, you know, like if you go through that, so you know, I went through the surgery, and like you don't know all the consequences, all the outcomes. So like when I woke up after the 6 hour of surgery, and then the nurse was waking me up, and then like, you know, I had like the tube in my mouth, and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, okay, like I was like really in a dark place, and then like you start just thinking, okay, it was like, okay, like, is that it? If that would be the end, that's how you want it to be, or you want it differently. So, and that night I actually made myself a promise. That's it. I'm gonna change everything. I don't want to live like that anymore. I mean, I love doing what I'm doing, but there has to be a way of doing things differently. There has to be like a balance where I can help still people, make money, and then be with my family and then enjoy my life. So basically, I did it for myself. I did this. I did like literally like in 2 years. Now I'm trying to build everything, and I'm putting everything together out there to help my clients and all the other business owners or whoever wants to start business to do the same.
Wow, I had no idea. I mean, that must have been rough, and for you to come back from a life-threatening injury like that, you know, it must have been rough. Did you like ever have those? I mean, some people say that they have their life flash before their eyes. Did you have that?
Well, that's what actually happened to me. Like that whole night, I didn't sleep, and I was like my whole life, all the events were like going through my mind, like how I've been working all this life, and not seeing my kids, not spending so much time with them, and like missing up on all these life memories, on all these magical moments, and it was just work, 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 work.
Right.
So, and then I started thinking, okay, but it has to be different. There has to be a way out. So like, how do other people do? And before the accident, I actually started taking the coaching lessons. Because I already like wanted to do something to change my life. I just didn't know how. But like that accident sort of pushed me. Right. And then I reached out, I remember that night, I texted my coach, and he sent me back link to Tony Robbins. So, and then whole night I was watching Tony Robbins on the YouTube. And then after that, that's when it just all started. It's Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, and then I just, John Maxwell, and then I just submerged into that. And then I just started reading, going to all these events, and started changing my life.
Yeah, I still can't believe you have Brian on your book. But what are some? Well, how about some of your clients? What's the big client? What's the biggest client you've had? Like.
What's the biggest clients that I had? What I mean, I have them.
Yeah.
I still have the clients.
Right.
Well, I have different types of clients. It doesn't matter. It's a freelancer, or it's an online business, Amazon, doctors, attorneys, it's construction companies, or it's a grocery store, so it's a supermarket. So for me, it doesn't matter. I work with all types of clients.
What do you think about real estate? As a method, a vehicle of investing?
Well, it's a great question, and I'm all for it. Like you just asked me if I own. Yes, I own, and actually I own this building as well. And if you want to know more, or if your viewers would like to know more, I actually put together a program, and what I was telling you is that I put together like all my knowledge throughout all these years, all the experiences that I had with my clients, and I put together a program. This program was already complete, and it's ready to be purchased. It's under Rivkin University. It's called 7 Steps to Financial Freedom. It consists of 7 modules, and one of the modules, and actually not even one of the modules, it's throughout all the modules I do talk about the real estate investments, other platforms, other investments as well. So that, and there's like more in depth in the details where I talk what I think about it, and how actually people can, and it doesn't matter if you're business owner, if you're not business owner, how you can take advantage and leverage your money through the real estate.
Wow. So where can they find that?
It's
Steps.
7 Steps to Financial Freedom. It's on Rivkin University, and they can actually go to rivkin.com, or they can look it up on social media platform on the YouTube. I have like all the links going there.
So I mean, I don't know how much you know about my business, but you know, I work with business owners too. I help them, you know, get financing and funding products. Have you ever taken funding for your business or ever considered it?
If I did, yes, I did take funding. I did take it. Luckily, right now, I don't need to. I actually do the fundings myself. That's another.
What'd you use it for?
Uh,
What was it for? Just curious.
what did I use that
Oh,
for?
yeah.
For the real estate purchase.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, I just you know, I
For-
mean, a lot of business owners probably watching this, you know, that could help them. But you never took it for your business, like for example, maybe expansion marketing.
I mean, I did take it last year when I 2 years ago when I purchased the building, and then I was renovating everything.
Right.
So I did have the working capital, and it helped me tremendously. And that's another thing, by the way, that I find that many business owners are they too scared of the debts. And I do talk about this more in the 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in the modules, that the good debts is actually it's a healthy debt, and it's good if it can help you to scale and leverage. Then it's always it's great to actually borrow the money. And I'll tell you another actually interesting story. When I purchased my first real estate, my own first house, I didn't have any money. So I started, I knew that I want to buy the house. I started looking for it. So I already like sort of knew my budget of how much I need to buy. Then I did all the calculations, how much I need money to put it down. And it took me 2 years to actually find the house, but I took these 2 years to my advantage to earn a little bit, and then I created a plan, like who can I borrow from. So I had, no, but that's what I did. So and at the end of the day, it actually helped me, because by the time I found the house, and this is another thing that everybody is not paying attention to, is because, like, let's say if you're gonna start looking for this year for the real estate, and then you're gonna buy it in 2-3 years. 2-3 years, whatever you're planning to buy right now is already gonna cost a different price. So basically, you need more money for that. So, and that's what happened with me. So when I purchased the house, it's already, of course, cost a little bit more. But since I was able to save the money, it was enough for me. And then I borrowed everywhere. But then a year later, I refinanced it because the prices went up. And then I took the money and I just paid my debts. So that's what I'm saying. The borrowing money, it's actually great, because if you can, make more, then it comes to the advantage. It's a great leverage scheme.
You guys getting it straight from the source. that is good. You want that.
No, there is healthy debts. Again, listen, there is bad debts and there is good debts. Bad debt, if you're going to shop and buy something on charge on a credit card, and then that's a bad debt. But then if you're actually buying real estate, or if you're investing into something that you know that you can make more, then why not? So let's say if I'm borrowing today with 4% or 5%, let's say, and then I can make, let's say, 15% out of that. That's great.
Yeah, that's 10% return.
That's
right?
it. So it all depends what are you, or let's say if you're borrowing money for your business to buy more products, to sell more, whatever it is. Again, it all comes down to the calculations. And then once you calculate everything, once you take the cost analysis, once you calculate how much you're borrowing, what are you paying, and how much you're making, and so then that's what you have to be looking at. But unfortunately, not too many business owners understand that, and that's why they're scared.
I think my uncle came to the United States, and I think there's like this Russian saying. I'm gonna say it in English, but I think you will understand what I'm talking about. measure it 6 times before you cut it or something like
That's
that.
it. Yes, I know, and I hear this all the time. Yes, my clients, they say, they would rather measure 100 times and then just cut it once. I mean, I'm completely opposite. I just want to be cut.
Right.
Listen, but that's again. Listen, you do need to measure, but measure is do all the calculations. I'm not saying like go out there and get a loan. Uh, do all the calculations and see, okay, so if you take this amount of money and then let's say you're going to take $100,000 and let's say with 6% rate. So by taking this 100,000, investing, let's say making 130,000, that's great. Because
Right.
you're making 30,000, you're paying 6,000, right? So then you're 24,000 plus. So it's all measuring in terms of the bottom line.
Right. Got it. So what are your thoughts on social media? I see like you on social media all the time. How important do you think social media is going to be in the next 5-10 years?
Well, today is everybody on the social media, and the reason I am on social media, I think it's a great, it's one of the great tools to spread the message, to educate, and this is what I'm trying to do. So I consider myself right now more as the financial literacy coach because I'm trying to share my knowledge, to educate. Unfortunately, again, going back to what we were just discussing, the reason people say it's just because lack of education.
Right. Yeah.
It's just because not understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and since the social media is the way to communicate today, so I think it's actually a great tool to send a message out there, to educate people, and to let them know, to spread that message and know like how it works. I mean, that's my take on that.
That's great. That's great stuff. Which one are you most active on now? Like, is it LinkedIn or?
I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Okay. Where can they follow you on?
It's Ella Rivkin on
Okay,
Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, and then Ella Rivkin is my my financial literacy, financial freedom coach page, and then also we have ERPS Group. So ERPS Group for the Instagram, for LinkedIn, and for Facebook.
Okay, great. So.
And then, if you follow me, every day we post on each platform for Ella Rivkin and for ERPS Group. We post every day. We post tips. We do have a team like ERPS Group. On Monday we talk about money. On Tuesday we talk about business success tips. So we give live tips. This is all live from business, from my business clients. If it's success tips or sometimes things that like not to do or to avoid. Wednesday we talk about money. On Thursday we give insurance tips. We give tax tips. And then on Ella Rivkin, I talk about the self-care, the mind, health, because all of this, it all relates of, because again, like we all experience the same pain points. It's unfortunately we're constantly on, first we think about money, then we think relationship, and then the health goes. But in order to succeed and in order to have that successful business, you have to build the foundation. And once that strong foundation, the foundation is your health and your relationship. And then the money is gonna grow already. So that's why we give all these tips. We talk about this to help individuals, whoever want to start the business, whoever is running the business already, on how to take care of all of this, so then you'll have the strong foundation and then you actually build a successful business.
Or even just the fact knowing that someone knows what you're going through and someone can understand it. I mean, I've definitely gotten help from some of your tips. I mean, they definitely helped me a lot. Like I said, with the just knowing that someone knows what I'm thinking about, or it seems like it. But if you had to go back and tell your 20-year-old self, like if you had to give someone your 20-year-old self advice, or if there's someone watching this that like a 20-year-old business owner, I mean I'm gonna turn 21 next month, but I'm just saying, like if you could go back, and what kind of advice would you give for those people just starting out, or yourself at that age?
Myself at that age. I mean, myself at that age, the only advice I would give myself is that I wish I would have known all of this earlier. The self-development, the easiest way to actually create the business and run the business. So unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way, the hands-on experience. So that's what I would tell myself, that I wish I would have known all of this much earlier. I wish I would have educate myself and take all the self-development classes, the business development, because like I said, I literally just learned the hard way. It was all hands-on. But as far as the new generation, I mean, you already know all this stuff. So what I would tell you, and the same thing, my daughter's your age, by the way, you went to the same school.
Yeah.
But what I tell my daughter, and actually what I would tell someone your age.
Well, I don't want to like put you on the spot. And
No.
'cause you don't know
Actually,
what-
so and that's what I'm actually. That's my message is to educate yourself about finances. We have a strong desire to go out there and to spend money. You know, like we have the desire to buy cars, to buy all the materialistic things, and which is all normal. But I think it's better first to build the foundation and then just to enjoy and buy all these things. Because the time value of money is so big. So like, you know, we waste so much of our money. And I mean, I look at my daughter, she works. I mean, I do educate her, she puts away money. And I told her, she saves money, but she can save even more. But especially like for the teenagers, let's say for if you live with your parents, you don't have any expenses. So you can literally take half of your paycheck and put it into savings account and then start investing and start generating money. And then whatever you earn from that, then you can actually go and spend it out there. So that would be my advice, because that's what I see. And majority, like over 20 years, I have some of the clients who had been with me for 20 years. And I'll give you even an example. There was one girl who came to me. She graduated and she was making 60,000 a year. Listen, just for the graduate girl, 60,000, it's not a lot. It's a good money, okay? But then she came to me because she's completely broke. Her account goes constantly to negative. She has no money on account. I was like, okay, what are you doing with your money? Oh, I don't spend anything. And then I started asking her questions. Okay, do you eat out? Like, you know, like all day, like how you spend? Do you buy clothes? No, I don't buy anything. I don't do anything. But then I took the bank statements and then I analyzed your credit cards and bank statements. And you don't pay attention. That's another thing. Because if you don't calculate, if you don't account for everything, for what you're charging on, especially today with the credit cards, because back then when I was 20, there was no credit cards. We had cash, so you know, you take $100, you go to the store, you cannot spend more than $100. But today, if you have your card, you go to the store, you don't even pay attention how much you're spending. And even if you have no money on account, you know, you spend at the end of the month, you get the bill. And with the debit cards, the same thing. So this is the number one things, because no one pays attention to actually calculating.
Right.
So set the budget, try to stick to that budget. And then save the money, invest the money, and from whatever you earn, then have fun and enjoy. So that would be my advice.
In that scenario, what was she spending money on? Just
that girl?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you actually. A good question. So it turned out that some days she was cooking, but most of the days she didn't. So, and here's an example. So she goes in the morning, she gets herself a coffee and a bagel. So that's already, and again, listen, if you live a Starbucks, it's going to cost more than, you know, Dunkin' Donuts, or yes, or if you go like to a coffee shop. So it spent basically like on average $10 for breakfast. And then she gets a lunch for another $15. And then she gets some snacks. And then she goes out to take a drink. So basically just a day, it would come out to like $100 just for the food, like getting snacks and all the stuff. And then again, I ask you how much is your telephone bill? So she goes to me, it's $50. But then I look at the bill, she actually gets every month, it's a different amount. So whatever we think we spend is not what we actually spend. And then the clothes, like how much you spend for clothes. Oh, I don't buy anything. So, but then you actually look at all the statements and then you start calculating. Numbers speaks for themselves.
Yeah. So instead of spending spending the money on eating out, you think that they should be investing in themselves, using that money to invest in themselves
I
instead.
think they should, yes. I think that's the great way is to actually establish the habit. It's all about the habit. And I'll tell you another example. And this is a young girl. If she's not going to change that habit throughout her life, this is what she's going to be doing. I had another planning a month ago with a couple, husband and wife. Between two of them, they're making $220,000. They have no money on the account and they have like 40,000 debt on credit card. What are you doing with the money? No, we don't spend anything. But then again, once I started calculating, because you don't pay attention. If you set a budget, and this is how I used to live, because I was always, listen, you have to calculate every single day. You have to measure every single day. If you don't measure, it's the same thing. Like, I'll give an example. My daughter, she wants to look skinny. So every day she goes and measures every morning herself on the scale. And then she has a number that she wants to weigh. So if you over that, then you know that you're overweight. If you're under, then you know you're okay. My husband, he has a high blood pressure. So every morning he measures his blood pressure. It's the same thing like, taking vitals when you go to the doctor. So you have to measure. Numbers, they always have to be measured. They always have to be calculated. So you have to set a budget. Let's say, like, if you want to spend $100 a week for food, then you work within that number.
But also, you said that if you had to talk to your younger self, you would tell yourself to use more in invest more in these personal development classes.
Right, because I didn't know about any of this. So, but the young generation today, what I see, like, they're very educated. I was street educated, I came here, I finished only 10, 11, 12th grade. I went to Brooklyn College, I took accounting, I started working. I didn't go into the self-development, motivational, like, I didn't know all of this aspect. It was just all hands-on experience, working and then learning all of this. But today I see that they educated, but then there's no education in finances. The financial part, and many actually are educated in financial, but they're not doing anything about it. That's another difference. Because today we live in the world of information. There is so much information out there. Before, I had to go to library to read books. Today, everything is on the Google. You can just, ask Siri, she'll tell you. You can just type it. So there's so much information. But what are we actually doing with that information? So besides information, you have to take actions.
Right. So let me ask you a better question. And now I'm actually going to ask you for advice, because what would you tell someone that, because I a couple months ago, starting this year, I've started making it also my mission to get people more money, right? Because for me, I've been in, money has led to a higher quality of life for me. But what would you tell someone that is making more money than they ever dreamed of, and like where do they go from there, I guess?
If they're making more money than they dreamed of, where would they go from there? Again, invest.
Right.
Invest.
Seems
But
simple.
here's the thing. And this is another aspect that I see with many of my clients. And by the way, that's the same thing that happened to me as well. First of all, like, what is the outcome? Like, what are your goals? Like, what are you, where do you see yourself? Because like what happened to me is I was working. I started, I was having a lot of clients. I started making good money, but then I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my life. So I sort of like lost my purpose. I like sort of lost, okay, like, why am I doing this? So that's another question. So like, okay, then why are you doing? Why are you making all this money?
Yeah.
Like what is your final outcome? Okay, because what's going to happen is at some point, and this is what happened to me, coming here with no money at all, my desire was to make more and more. Because why? I wanted to have it, like I never had any dresses. I was raised with only one dress and one pair of pants and top. That's it. So like, like having no money, living like that put an impact into me. So like, okay, I desire to buy more shoes, more bags, more clothes, car, house, and then like, all these materialistic things. But they're not gonna give you happiness. That's not what life is all about. So that's why, like when people start making more, but then why? To buy materialistic things, because at some point, it's not going to give you pleasure.
Okay.
It's the same thing, like you bought a car, okay. Oh, you know what, now you drove it, you like it. Oh, now, you know what, now let's say you got yourself a Lexus. Now, okay, no, you know what, I don't want Lexus, now I want a BMW. Oh, maybe now I want a Tesla. Because, our desires go constantly higher and higher. Right. We want better and better things. So that's why it's discovering actually more like what is your life purpose? What do you want to do? Like for myself, I discovered that my life purpose is to actually share my life story, share my experiences, and to give to others. And that actually excites me because look at it this way. At some point, like we're going to make money and then, okay, you're not going to have even desire to wake up in the morning because, already have money, but you still have to have a desire to go out there to do things. It has to ignite you. You have to have a spark. And that's what I found out for myself. What is my purpose in this life? So that's what I would like, if you're making money, but then, okay, what is the bigger purpose to that?
I really like this book. Where can they get this book? It looks very...
They can get the book on the Amazon.
Okay.
It's Cracking the Code to Success. Or they can get it ellarivkin.com on my website. Or they can get it through me if they call our office or if they come in.
Okay, great. So it's on Amazon and
it's on Amazon
website.
And on my website, ellarivkin.com.
Okay, great. Do you have an extra copy of this? Can I buy one from you?
Yes, I'll give you one. I'll sign it and I'll give you one.
Awesome, I appreciate that. It's cool. I'm gonna read it, I'll let you know what I think about it. But I guess if someone needs your services, or if someone wants to get in contact with you, how should they go about doing business with you?
Well, if someone would like to do services with me, they can call our office 347-462-2778. They can also message us through Instagram or through Facebook, Ella Rivkin, or through ERPS Group.
Ella, it's been a pleasure. What else?
Thank you. Listen, if I can help in any way, I would like to. And my message is out there to actually help as many business owners or startup businesses, as many as we can. And I think you're doing a great thing. Actually, it's awesome and it's amazing that you already at this young age. I actually, I always admire whenever I speak to you, and then I have my daughter, she has a couple of her friends who into this personal development as well. I'm actually, I admire you guys at this young age. If you already started with this, you have unbelievable opportunities. So you're doing great. It's amazing.
I mean, you've seen my financials,
No, you're doing absolutely great. Okay. Absolutely great. So now it's just the investment part. And taking control of your finances.
Right. I remember talking to Artem one time, and I was telling him how I wanted to buy a Tesla, and then he said, Ella said, don't buy a Tesla, and I was gonna buy it anyway because it's a really nice car.
Did you buy it?
I didn't get approved for the loan. But,
but you see, again, because the desire is very high, and I get it. Listen, I've been there too, but take my advice. It's not gonna go anywhere. You better invest this money, make faster money, and then, in no time you'll drive your Tesla or whatever other car you desire. So it's just time. Everyone wants this instant gratification. No one wants to wait. Yeah. But it's all right to wait. It's okay. And that's what I always say. You better start from bottom and go to the top versus be there and then at some point lose it all. So you have to build the base. Because if you actually, what you need to identify is, once you identify what is financial freedom for you. Once you put the number there, okay, and then once you have this money, which, so let's say like you say like you want to have $1 million, and then you think, okay, then you can retire or live your dream life. So you take this $1 million and then you invest making the money. So let's say you invest making 10%. So then you're making the 100,000 from this, and this money, you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything. Then on this money, you can actually enjoy, buy whatever it is that you need. So if it's already, 2-3 million, then out of that, whatever you make, that's what you live and enjoy on. So you don't have to physically work. So if you actually get to that financial freedom, if you actually get to that number where you work because you want to, not because you have to,
Wow,
then you can buy Tesla and everything.
Yeah, that's actually very, very impressive. That's so much information there, so much wisdom. But while we're talking about investments, one other thing I want to add is I'm actually kind of glad. It's a good thing that I didn't buy the Tesla, because I actually found out later that if you buy a new car, like, it loses 25% in value.
Right away, of course, yes. And I did tell this Artem, he didn't tell you that?
No, I mean,
No, okay, the minute you drive the car out of the dealership, that's it, you're losing the value. Because the car, it's not, you have to buy the assets that appreciate in value, not depreciate. And car, it's one of the assets that depreciates. So then that's not an asset, that's a liability.
Right.
So if you buy real estate, then it's something that will appreciate in the value. So then that's a good investment.
I mean, I had to buy the car. I had no choice, but I ended up getting a used one. So, I guess I gotta thank you for that advice.
My pleasure.
probably-
well, I'm glad you listened.
I mean, it's so funny how the sequence of events, I mean, I guess some people say everything happens for a reason. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but it turned out okay. Ella, so much wisdom here, so much information. Guys, if you want more of Ella Rivkin, go to the 7 steps for financial freedom. Okay? One more time, where's that?
It's on ellarifkinuniversity.com, or they can simply follow me on any of the favorite social platform, Ella Rivkin, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or ERPS Group. And you can actually, guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ella Rivkin. And we put, besides on social media, putting all the posts and all the stories, we have videos, we have free workshops. There's so much information that I'm sharing with you. And this is all life information. It's all based on the life tips, based on the life knowledge, success knowledge. And it's all there for you, and it's all in your hands.
So obviously you can't fit all the information in one 30-minute interview, but so if you guys want more of Ella Rivkin, of all that wisdom that she just shared with us, all the links are in the description. You can always find them there. I'll have the links to where you can find 7 steps to financial freedom. Ella, you're the best. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to a continued relationship. And you guys just watched The Big Boss Show.